Hey everybody, it's Gus over at Askewed Reviews. And today, once again, I am very lucky as my good friends over at Pixel Scene Media have decided to grant me early access to another film. This time around, it's a movie that comes out at the end of this month. And that would be the 2025 film My Dead Friend Zoe. Now, first things off, I do want to give a bit of a trigger warning when it comes to this film. It is a dramedy, so there are some funny moments, but there are also some very painful, kind of very deep, traumatic things to deal with in this, especially if you've had experience with the military or PTSD, and a couple other things which I won't necessarily mention only due to the fact that I also don't want to ruin the story or ending of this film. So, just in general, be aware of that when going into this movie. So, here's the primary concept for the story. We have our main character of Merritt, who is a veteran from Afghanistan, who is still dealing with some trauma because her best friend Zoe is no longer alive. And we slowly throughout the film get to learn more about their friendship, about what actually happened and why Zoe's no longer around, and in general, just Merritt's relationship to not only her best friend, her mother, her grandfather, and just to other people in her life. I found this movie interesting that they didn't try from the beginning to have it be like, oh, is her friend actually alive? Is she dead? No, you pretty much instantly know that Zoe is no longer around, but she's still there, at least mentally, for Merritt. This film, by the way, also has a really stacked cast. You have Sonequa Martin Green, Natalie Morales, Ed Harris, Morgan Freeman, and Utkarsh Ambudkar. Now, as I did mention near the beginning, this film heavily deals with the concept of dealing with trauma, about how painful it can be to actually bring things up or to talk about it to other people, especially if you've been brought up in a situation like the military where sometimes it's a lot harder to get those things out because somebody might not understand what you've been through, because it's just too painful to talk about, or it's just something that you've been trained to keep inside. Now, I do feel the need to say this. I have no military background, so if in any way the way I described that was offensive, I do apologize to any of you who do have a military background. Now, the story at times for this does move a bit slowly, at least for my own preference, but it was still a good story and I enjoyed it all the way through. Now, a lot of times I am affected by emotional moments in film. And this one, I was doing pretty good for most of it, but near the end, something does get revealed that particularly had a connection to me of something I dealt with in my own life. And man, that really did get to me. So be prepared. I think whether or not you have any connection to the military, it's a film that can still get to you without prior experience to that. So for me on my scale, I'm going to give My Dead Friend Zoe a 4 out of 5. If you get a chance, once this does come to theaters, definitely check it out. If you somehow miss that opportunity, once it is on streaming, definitely see it at that point at least. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if at all you are connected to any film that's coming out and you have an ability to send out a screener, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to be able to watch the film, do a review for it, and hopefully get some extra publicity for your movie.